Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day, and we're on part 3 of 3 of the Disrupted and Dysregulated Nervous System. So if you have not been on any of the days, I would suggest, I can't tell you what to do, but I would suggest going back and watching the other two. Because the first day was just kind of like explaining from a personal aspect how the nervous system can be disrupted. And then yesterday was talking about the science and the medical part of the vagus nerve itself and the parasympathetic and sympathetic nerves. So good morning, Muddy. And again, we talked about how I've used Copilot, the chatbot, for this. And all this stuff has come from the Cleveland Clinic. And I also suggest, if you do have some kind of trauma in your life, PTSD, CPTSD, any one of those, and like I said, if it's important to you, don't worry about what the rest of the world thinks. If it needs to be healed, it needs to be healed, whether you think it's big or small, okay? Because if it's continually bothering you, it's not as small as you think, it's big, and it needs to be acknowledged and taken care of. So, and I do advise professional help if you were just starting on a very treacherous healing journey, because it can be a little hard, it can be a little upending. But if that is not possible, then I do highly suggest a very, very strong support group. All right. So one of the books I have been recommending is The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. And excuse me. Let's just dive in. I'm going to read what I've been reading first, and then we'll get into the last part of the disrupted and dysregulated nervous system. Whoops. Okay. So, I am not a trained professional or a therapist. I'm just someone in the dysregulated nervous system trenches with you. This is my research and my plan designed by Copilot, the chatbot, which is not a substitution for anyone who needs help. I do recommend therapy, a strong support group, or both. And remember, as I've mentioned in the other shows, look around. There are places that do therapy on a pay scale. There are groups. There is online. So in case you don't want to be seen going in somewhere, I know there's still that awful stigma on mental health. Excuse me. There's also centers, public health centers that offer, therapy. And so, yeah. Now, on the metaphysical side, again, if you were so thoughts and vibrations. If our internal system, our natural vibrations, our body's fight or flight, if you will, doesn't match our thoughts, then those positive words are just that, words, and they often remain that way until we regulate our nervous system. So this is why we're doing this, okay? Not so we can manifest things, but because don't you want to live a life where you're not constantly, sorry, there's something under here. Don't you want to live a life where you're not constantly feeling like you're in fight or flight mode? So, because I know I do. Half the time I don't even realize I'm in it until I do realize it. I have become very aware. I don't want to say hyper aware. I used that yesterday, but it's not quite hyper aware. I have become extremely aware of my tension that I hold. I noticed yesterday when I was sitting, I had my teeth clenched, and I was just like, "What is happening?" And so. Yeah. So this is just a reminder. Okay. Trauma therapy focuses on memory, meaning, emotion, cognition. Healing the story and healing the nervous system are related, but they are not the same process. Nothing about this pattern is your fault. It's the body doing exactly what it learned to do to keep you safe. And whether you lash out, go numb and shut down, or become combative, your nervous system is struggling to regulate, and it becomes overwhelmed, often leading to those reactions above. Take a deep breath, look around, and remind yourself that you are safe. All right. Now, I have to tell you this, doing these shows the last couple of days and doing all the research, I think I hit my bottom yesterday. I was so exhausted. I mean, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just sitting there like, couldn't keep my eyes open. And then I ended up just laying in bed for like 4 hours. I thought I would sleep, but I didn't. But today I feel just so much better. I feel so refreshed, like, just laying there in the dark and playing. I know I was playing my games, just kind of helped a lot, So, and staying away from all of the garbage, staying away from all of the doom scrolling. So anyways, all right, let's get going. All right, sorry, I know, I think I'm rambling and a little bit nervous about this. So this one we get personal. So this one, Shelly Marie opens herself up for this one so we can get a better idea of, what these patterns are and how to heal it. So this is what Chat Copilot and I in the Cleveland Clinic came up with. What they came up with. Oh, good morning, older sibling. Sorry. All right. Okay. I know. I don't know why I'm so nervous about this, but I can tell this is my nervous reaction that I just keep rambling and rambling. So let's go. All right. What your pattern tells me about your nervous system. Shelly Marie. The pattern you just described, tension you don't notice until it's overwhelming, shutting down when pushed too far, fully wired and tired, and sometimes lashing out, is one of the clearest signatures of a nervous system that has lived in survival mode for a long time. And I want to say this plainly. Nothing about this pattern is your fault. It's the body doing exactly what it learned to keep you safe. We just read that. Number 1, I stay tense all day without noticing until I suddenly do. This is baseline hyperarousal. Your body learned to stay safe as a default. Jaw, shoulders, diaphragm, pelvic floor. It becomes normal that you don't feel it until the tension spikes. This usually comes from growing up in unpredictable environments, needing to stay ready, or learning to scan for danger without realizing it. Your body is doing old work. So number 2, I shut down or go numb or disassociate when overwhelmed. This is the dorsal vagal response, the freeze shutdown branch of the nervous system. It happens when fight or flight has been running too long, the system gets overloaded, the body decides we can't outrun this, so we go offline. It's not a weakness, it's a survival reflex. So basically, we're just like fleshy computers. Okay, we are. When a computer system gets overwhelmed, or when it's just kind of like, nope, it'll just freeze or shut down. Right? It just, and you have to reboot. And this is kind of what this nervous system is all about. Think of the nervous system as your CPU. It's your central processing unit. It is what, tells you to do this or do that, or, just stand really still. I can't, if it can't see me, kind of like the T-Rex, right? If I don't move, the T-Rex can't see me. But, so yeah, it's not a weakness. Again, it's a survival reflex. This is why some people, you just like, how do you go through life doing this? And how come this and that? Because we don't think about the trauma. The trauma could be a one-off thing. It could be a car accident. It could be something horrible. It could be, the world we live in right now. It's just, you depending on the kind of person you are, if you are, just kind of clenching every time something bad happens, you are probably in survival mode, and your body is, just reacting and trying to keep you safe. It's the same as if you're in a car accident, right? And you're going through the same intersection and you kind of brace, but you don't realize it. Maybe you're holding the steering wheel really, really tight and just kind of like, then you realize, wow, you got these little nail marks in your hands. So again, we're like fleshy computers. We're walking computers, and the nervous system is your CPU. So let's figure out how to fix this. So we can't, not fix it. I can't fix you, only you can fix you. But I do want to remind you again that healing your trauma story, whatever it is across the board, okay, remember, it may not seem like it's big to someone else, but if it's big to you, it's important. It's very important, okay? So don't worry about what it is. Just heal that part and then work on the nervous system so that you can start functioning outside of survival mode. So number 3, I feel wired and tired at the same time. This is the hallmark of mixed state dysregulation. Sympathetic activation, wired, plus parasympathetic collapse, tired, happening simultaneously. So it feels like exhausted. It feels like you're exhausted but unable to rest. Oh, it was yesterday. Alert but foggy. That's a tough one because perimenopause can make you foggy. Overstimulated but numb. And this is extreme. So this is extremely common in people with long-term trauma histories. So, it's because you're kind of like in, I gotta go, because you don't want to, it's like you're running from it, right? One of the biggest things I had to learn when I was healing the trauma story was to stop running from it and start running at it. And that's the scariest decision you have to make, is turning around and facing all the things that caused this. And I think that's why this has been exhausting, because it's bringing up a lot of the trauma story I've already healed. But then I can feel my nervous system when I start thinking about these things going, whoa. And I think that's just, so it's a little bit of being wired and tired. I mean, I had caffeinated coffee yesterday and it didn't even touch me, because I think I was just so kind of, in this excitable state, if you will. I don't know how else to put it, but not in a good excitable way. Just kind of like it says here, where you're feeling wired and tired at the same time. So number 4, I sometimes lash out. The Muffin episode of 2006. This is the fight response. Okay, let me try that again. This is the fight response breaking through the freeze. When the system is overloaded, irritability becomes a pressure valve. It doesn't mean you're an angry person. It means your body is trying to discharge energy it never got to release safely. I can't tell you how important that was for me to hear, because I've talked about this in the past. We talked about the muffin incident of 2006, but we've also talked about how, older sibling would just kind of bring me back. And yet at the same time, she was going into part of this, the fight or flight, just going numb, going quiet, going silent. Just like, almost kind of like the same idea. If I don't say anything, maybe they'll stop. And we were two very polar opposites when it came to the nervous system. So, and her and I were talking about this a couple days ago, and I said, it totally makes sense, now. And I said, I'm not trying to what was the word I'm looking for? I'm not trying to diagnose you, but I said, it makes sense when we were talking, or when I would just lose my shit and Mount Chalcidius would come out, because even I would sit there, it's like I'm a bad person, I'm a whole, but she's like, no, you're not. So here's the thing. You're not a bad person. Bad things have happened to you. And again, it says right here, it means your body is trying to discharge energy it never got to release safely. So this, if you are the kind of person that lashes out or just has that pressure valve build to the point where it's exploding, you need to sit down with yourself and try to figure out, how can I release all of this safely? And a lot of times, like I said, it's running at it instead of away from it. This is why I suggest therapy. This is why I suggest professional help or a very strong support group. Because I know professional help, unfortunately, is still very expensive in some places, and not all insurances cover it. So, but you also have to be very honest if you go into therapy, okay? You can't just sit there and go, yeah. I mean, the whole point of the therapist is to listen to you. Okay. They may have some suggestions, they may have some ideas, but it's to listen to you. It's to help guide you. It's to help be your tour guide or your hiking guide through your journey, so that you can figure out what path you need to go down, so that you're thinking of the solutions. Okay, that I've been very blessed to have very good therapists in my life over the last couple of times that I've gone to therapy. So because they walked me through, and they just, they made me think. But also, it's just, you have to, unfortunately, in order to heal the trauma story or the trauma pain, whatever has caused this, part of your life that is affecting your nervous system, it is one of these things that you have to run at instead of run from. But you are brave enough and you are strong enough, and I do believe in you. And I'm not just saying that because I know how hard it was, and I was very lucky to have people remind me that I could do this. So anyways, what this combination means: your system cycles through. So the combination of the first 3, which was lashing out, feeling wired and tired, shutting down and going numb, and staying tense, is this. Your system cycles through brace, overwhelm, shut down, reboot, brace again. It's in this ugly hamster wheel. This is not a psychological flaw. It's a physiological loop. And the good news is this loop can be retrained. So Not by thinking your way out of it, but by giving your body the kinds of signals it never got consistently. So here's a step-by-step plan tailored to my patterns. Okay, these are my patterns, but I'm sharing this with you so that you get the idea. And that doesn't mean run to chatbot and go, come up with a nervous system plan for me. Because I had to go through a lot of stuff, which is actually how all this entire show happened. And so I had to go through all these different things, and I had to be very, very honest. And it even told me in there, be very honest when you're answering. Okay, so I have done, okay, so this is my reminder. I have done the hard mental, emotional work with therapy and an awesome support group. So step 1, interrupt the invisible tension. Step 1, interrupt the invisible tension pattern. Because you don't notice tension until it's extreme, you need micro check-ins that don't rely on awareness. So try these every few hours. I set an alarm and I put a sticky note on the mirror in the bathroom. As sibling knows at home, I will write in dry erase. Okay, not permanent, dry erase on the mirror because you can wipe it off. So dry erase markers work on mirrors and they do wipe off. All right, so try these every few hours. Let your jaw hang for 5 seconds. Exhale longer than you inhale. We talked about that yesterday. Drop your shoulders once. Place your tongue on the floor of your mouth. So again, place your tongue on the floor of your mouth. These tiny cues teach your system that it doesn't have to brace all day. And I think what a lot of this is doing too is it's making you aware. Okay, so like the jaw clenching. If you're putting your tongue at the bottom of your, on the floor of your mouth, you're not clenching your teeth, right? You're not doing this. So, or if you let your jaw hang, you're not doing that. Or if you're dropping your shoulders, you're becoming aware. So what these things are is they're just reminding you about the different parts of the body where you hold tension and to breathe to help regulate all that. So, because sometimes when we're focusing on our breathing, we're not focusing on all the tension that we're holding. So, okay. Step 2, prevent shutdown before it hits. Shutdown happens when your system gets overwhelmed without release. The antidote is small, safe discharge throughout the day. Shake your hands, bounce your knees, hum softly, stretch your arms overhead, press your feet into the ground. If you're on grass, do that because it feels so good. These release sympathetic energy before it collapses into numbness. So again, you can just shake your hands or bounce your knees, kind of like you would do, right? If you're holding a kid, you just kind of bounce your knees and then hum softly, hum softly, stretch your arms overhead and and press your feet into the ground. So I know that's a little hard because I kept trying to do that and then I realized I'm in a chair with wheels. Not smart. So, I never claimed to be a genius, but I just pretend to be one. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I get through life with humor. 9 times out of 10 it's self-deprecating, but hey, what do you know? Anyway, step 3, rebuild the felt sense of safety. So this is the past trauma. Oh, this is the part, excuse me. I'm telling you right now, I'm so nervous doing all this and I don't know why. I really don't know why. We got through the last 2 days really simply, but today it's just like all of a sudden stage fright. So, okay. And no caffeine, right? So, wow, maybe my caffeine from yesterday is hitting. Anyways, rebuild the felt sense of safety. This is the part trauma disrupts the most. Your system needs predictability, warmth, soft sensory input, gentle connection, and slowness. I'm going to add something here, okay? And then I'm going to reread that because there is more. Yesterday, so my cousin, I told my cousin over the weekend, I said, let me know when you want to go out again. Her father, my uncle just passed, but there you go. Right? Muddy, you kill me. I love that. She's all, I'm not a genius, but I play one on Facebook. Perfect. Yeah, right. I know. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. So there you go. I'm not a genius, but I play one on Facebook. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna remember that forever, and then I'll probably forget it right now. But anyways, so anyways, my cousins just buried my uncle, and we had all the celebration of lives. And so, as anybody knows, when you bury a parent or bury somebody, or and I say this more on the personal level, like someone in your family, when everything's done, it just seems like the whole world goes quiet, right? Everybody goes back to their lives, and you're just kind of sitting there going, and then you feel alone again. So we went out, but I wanted to try Turkish coffee because of this song that older sibling sent me. I think I mentioned this yesterday. So anyways, the place that I wanted to go to was closed. So my cousin was Googling it to see the menu, and she found one farther away. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because there is a part of me that I realize when it says that your system needs predictability, I think that's why people with trauma stories tend to try to control everything, because spontaneity or surprises can be a little disruptive because it's not something that we're prepared for. The be alert, the stay ready, right? You're in survival mode. And it said it right here where your body is always in, where it talks about here, needing to stay ready. And I know it seems something so small that just changing a coffee shop can upend people, but it can. Because yesterday I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go there. I don't know if I want to drive that far. But then I reminded myself, you know what? This is why you're not spontaneous. This is why you struggle with spontaneity. Because you're so in control mode, you're so in stay ready mode, that when a plan gets upended and it has to change, it's kind of like, high alert in my brain. Like, oh my God, what do I do? It was nothing. It was just going to another place, which actually turned out to be better because we could sit outside and enjoy the weather before it gets hot. So, so yeah, I totally get that part. Okay. So the predictability part in a trauma story makes a lot of sense on why we try to control things. So here's the thing. It says, this is the past trauma disrupts the most. Your system needs predictability. It needs predictability, but you don't need to be a control freak. Okay. You don't need to try to hyper control everything. Predictability is just take a deep breath, inhale, and say, okay, everything's going to be okay. We're just changing the venue. That's it. And then, do the inhaling, do the shaking out the hands, do the jaw drops, do the things that make you aware of the body's tension so that you can let it go. All right. And then maybe somehow, in some way, in some magical world, the rest of us will learn how to be a little more spontaneous. So the only spontaneous thing I've ever done is my midnight drives. And those are really just kind of help get me back into my head. So it also needs warmth, soft sensory input, gentle connection, and slowness. For example, a warm compress on your chest. And I actually wrote down, or a cat, when I called older sibling this morning. She had a cat on her chest. So a warm compress on your chest, soft blankets or textures, and slow music. Now, for some people, when it says soft blankets or textures, I do. My textures are rigid. But people like weighted blankets too. Weighted blankets make people feel safe. And also sitting somewhere with your back supported. Okay, sitting somewhere with your back supported. And being around someone calm and safe. So not someone who's going to rile you up, but somebody calm and safe. So these cues tell your brainstem we're not in danger anymore. And this could be why sometimes people feel so open and so secure in therapy, because your back is supported and you're sitting with someone in a calm and safe environment. Okay, so step 4, repair the wired and tired cycle. This requires rhythm, not intensity. So we talked about this yesterday. Try slow walking, rocking in a chair, swaying side to side, gentle stretching, light chores with music. Light chores with music. Rhythmic movement is one of the fastest ways to regulate mixed states. So I found myself rocking in the chair more. So I'm trying to make that a habit because I notice it really does help. So step 5, address the lashing out with compassion. This isn't a moral failure. It's a sign your system is overloaded. What helps? Taking 10 seconds to exhale slowly, stepping away briefly, naming the sensation, i.e. my body is overwhelmed, grounding through your feet. Again, do not sit in a rolling chair when you do this. You're not trying to suppress the reaction. You're giving your system a way out. What you just described, okay, so this is ChatGPT. What you just described, feeling far away, foggy or blank and heavy, is one of the clearest, most recognizable signatures of dorsal vagal shutdown, the freeze collapse branch of the nervous system. And the fact that it comes after long periods of unnoticed tension tells me your nervous system is doing something incredibly adaptive. It holds everything together until it can't, and then it pulls the plug to protect you. So this isn't weakness, this isn't failure, this is survival. This is a survival reflex your body learned early on and has repeated for years. This is why sometimes we dissociate during a lot of different things, whether we're having a conversation with a friend, maybe a subject comes up, or even during intimate moments, which we will get to. So let me walk you through what's happening inside you, and then I'll give you a way to gently come back from that foggy, faraway state without forcing yourself or pushing too hard. What far away, foggy, blank, heavy actually means in your body. Feeling far away. So number one, feeling far away. This is dissociation. Your brain temporarily disconnects you from the present moment because it senses overwhelm. It's a protective dimming of awareness. Number two, feeling foggy or blank. Your prefrontal cortex, the thinking part, goes offline. Your system is conserving energy and reducing input. Number three, feeling heavy. Your muscles lose tone. Your body shifts into immobilize and conserve mode. This is the same reflex animals use when escape is impossible. It's not chosen, it's automatic. And because you stay tense all day without noticing, your system is already running hot. Shutdown is the emergency brake. So the key thing to understand is you can't think your way out of a shutdown. You can't snap out of it. You can't push yourself back into alertness. Shutdown is a low energy state, so the way out must be slow, gentle, and sensory, not mental. Let me give you the steps that work for your specific pattern. How to come back from shutdown safely, tailored to my symptoms. Okay, I want to be very clear when I say my symptoms. Your symptoms may be the same, but I don't want someone to say, oh, well, Shella Marie said that this is what works. No, these are things that I had to answer questions to, and it came back with this for me. Now, if you want to do your own research, absolutely. Especially if you've already healed the trauma, but you're still like me wondering why you feel stuck. This is why we feel stuck, because our nervous system is still in protective mode. So our brain is ready to go, but our body's kind of like, it's kind of like in halt mode, like at a red light. So it's like gunning the engine at a red light because you're raring to go, but your body's just like, nope, can't do it yet. So, number one, start with sensation, not emotion. When you feel far away or heavy, don't try to analyze it. Instead, try one sensory cue. Touch something with textures, hold something warm, press your feet into the floor without wheels, put your hand on your chest, look at the object and name its color. And look at the object and look at one object, I apologize, and name its color. So, right, green. This is green and black. Or I'm looking at different things. I have a Himalayan salt lamp, pink, TARDIS, blue, all these different things. And so this will bring you back into your body without overwhelming you. This is still kind of the same thing that we talked about, right? The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing that you can use with anxiety. 5 things you see, touch, smell, hear, sense. So, or hear. Yeah, I think I said that. Anyways, number 2, add micro movement. Shutdown is immobilization. The antidote is small, slow movement, not big or fast. Try gently rolling your shoulders, wiggling your toes, turning your head slightly, swaying side to side, stretching your fingers. Now, be careful if you sway side to side, okay? Please don't fall down. Just if you need to, grab onto something. These what do you call it? These small, slow movements tell your brainstem we're not trapped. You're not trapped, all right? It tells your brainstem you are not trapped. Number 3, use breath that doesn't demand too much. So deep breathing can feel impossible in shutdown. Instead, try a soft sigh, a slow exhale through pursed lips, a gentle hum. These activate the vagus nerve without forcing your system. The pursed lips was interesting. I tried that yesterday, and I actually felt my body just kind of, relax, because I was so focused on trying to purse my lips and exhale through it that I was kind of like, whoa. I wasn't paying attention to the tension in my body. So I can see how that can work, because it removes, it gives your body something to focus on. So number 4, reorient your awareness. Shut down narrows your perception. Reorienting it widens it again. Try, name 3 things you see, name 2 things you hear, and name 1 thing you can touch. So this is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method for anxiety, but a little bit different. It's a little bit more simplified. So again, 3 things you see, 2 things you hear, and 1 thing you can touch. Okay? And this will gently bring your brain back online. So number 5, don't try to wake up quickly. Your system needs gradual activation. Think warmth, softness, slowness, and predictability. I notice, because I do have an alarm set through my phone, and it picks its own tone. So that's one tone I can't change and I can't pick to customize to what I want. But I notice the 2 alarm sounds that I do use are very soft and gradual. They're very soft and gradual. One's from a soundtrack and one is what the phone does. And it does progressively get louder. But they do wake me up, and they wake me up gently. And it gets to a point where your brain just knows that when it hears this sound, it's going to alert and be awake. So, or help wake you up. So remember, don't just try to like bolt out of your sleep. So waking up quickly isn't always easy either. So, like if you're in bed, just give yourself a moment. Do a couple stretches if you need to. Play with the cat, play with the dog. Okay, play with what other animal is roaming around you. And just, move slowly. So do not use cold water, intense breathing, forcing yourself to move, pushing through, or your body will fight those. So there you go. Wake up slowly. All right. So wake up slowly. Waking up quickly, like with water, intense breathing, or all that, it's gonna throw you into overwhelm. So why this matters for you specifically. Your pattern, tension, wired, overwhelmed, and shut down, is a loop your system learned long ago. The fact that you lash out sometimes is also part of the loop. It's the sympathetic energy trying to escape before collapse. None of this is character flaw. It's a nervous system doing its best with the tools it had. And now you're learning new tools. So that was the last part. However, we talked about dissociation yesterday. So I hope I have enough time for this. I'm kind of wondering if I should just do this tomorrow. I think I might, because this gets pretty wordy, and I don't want to overwhelm everybody, because this one, I think we're going to have a lot to talk about when it comes to it. I wasn't going to do a show tomorrow, but I honestly think that this should be part 4. So we're going to talk about disassociation during intimacy tomorrow. And just a fun fact. So yesterday, I don't know if I should share it because it was with my cousin, but I don't want to embarrass her, and I didn't ask if I could share it, but it was kind of funny. Let's just say we were in a Japanese store yesterday, and apparently they have an adult section. And so, my cousin disappeared, and all of a sudden she comes back and she's like, oh my God, and it was weird because, like, you can find adult stores everywhere, right? But she's so cute. But yeah, she was just like, did you know this was there? I had no idea it was there. It's just this tiny little corner, right? It's just a mesmerizing little corner of, how we shouldn't censor ourselves, how we shouldn't be ashamed, how we should just embrace our bodies. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do dissociation with during intimacy, as a subject, because I think it's very, very important that, people with traumatic histories learn how to come back into themselves. So they're not forcing something. They're not forcing a feeling. So they can enjoy the act. They can enjoy the moment. And I don't think a lot of us realize that it can be tied together. And when I first discovered dissociation and intimacy, I actually did a show on this a while ago, but I didn't understand it in response to the nervous system. So it was just kind of like a thing, right? I didn't really understand it in regards to the nervous system. So now I realize it goes with it, and it makes a lot of sense. So I think we're going to talk about this tomorrow. We did a lot today. We talked about the overwhelm. We talked about all the different things that we can do to keep ourselves from, overwhelm. We talked about the lashing out, and that was always a big part for me, because I always carried a lot of guilt over that. Excuse me. Gosh, what is wrong with me? I always carried a lot of guilt over that, because that's not who I am. That's not the person I want to be. But in those moments, it's exactly who I become. And, I don't like it. I've never liked it. And now that I realize it's more of a reflex, and now that I realize that some of the stuff that I've actually said about how it would just be like a volcano and it just explodes, it makes a lot of sense. So again, even though this was tailored to me, a lot of you may relate to what we've talked about. And if you have, and if you feel yourself having tension, or just, clenching your jaws, or tightening your shoulders, or just, remember the things that we can do. Okay. Let your jaw hang for 5 seconds. Relax your shoulders. Do shoulder rolls if you need to. Do the inhaling. The breathing exercises are fabulous. And I know that it might seem dumb to some people, but I'm telling you, it actually works. In fact, what's interesting is it's just such a random thing. I was on YouTube, and just randomly, they had a surgeon on there teaching people how to, kind of lower their blood pressure by inhaling and exhaling. And he actually set himself up to the monitor to show people the difference when he's breathing and when he's exhaling, and all the different things, and how the heart beats and how it learns to regulate. I probably should have taken some deep breaths before I did this show. But anyways, so yeah, the inhaling and exhaling, it is a wonderful, fabulous tool. And you could even just breathe in to 10, okay, or just count to 10, because that also helps remove your mind from whatever it is that is happening. If you're driving, I really should learn how to count to 10 when I'm driving, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Or make a game out of it. Pay attention if you're driving, but make a game out of it. Or again, just do the ha breathing, which is 7 in, 7 hold, 7 out, 7 hold. So it's 7 across the board. The reason they tell you here to make sure your exhales are longer than your inhales is because they want you to focus on the breath. A lot of times when we're focusing on the breath, we're forgetting everything else. Okay, it is just, you are releasing all that tension in your body. So, yeah, I kind of fumbled through that. I apologize. I apologize. Okay, so here, Sammy says, the physical therapist that came to the house when my mom broke her hip taught her to slow, deep breathe when her blood pressure was up. See, that's exactly what I was talking about, right? About that doctor. And it was interesting how he showed that. And, I think these are things, because our blood pressure will go up if we're in tense moments, right? I feel like it was sent to me because at some point I'm going to have an MRI for my heart, which is a normal thing. I'm not dying. So, but I do have a repaired heart. So my doctor likes to get in there and see all the good stuff. But I don't like closed spaces. They put me, for some reason, all the way in, to the point where my feet, thank God, I'm tall enough that my feet stick out the other side, which I just discovered the last time we went in. Fortunately, they let older sibling go in with me, but it's always very tight in there, and I don't like tight spaces. I am not extremely claustrophobic anymore. I had to get rid of that when I was working on the 8th floor of a building and had to take an elevator up every day, but I'm still claustrophobic to some degree. And so, learning how to lower the blood pressure can really help with the nervous system as well. So it is a fight or flight when going in there. I mean, we joke. I joked with my cardiologist. It's like, yeah, they start putting me in, my head gets near it, I cry, they pull me out, they put me back in. But here's the thing. It's not that just because I have to go into this tube for an hour. It's because they put this very big chest plate on me so that they can get the pictures. So I can't see past my chest when I'm laying down. And so it's like being confined in a wall that you can't get out of. And I'm sure I could wiggle my way out of there. I have no doubt in my mind I could wiggle my way out of there. I know I'm completely safe in there. And so, I have older siblings sitting right by who she'll touch my head from time to time to remind me that she's there. The guy talks to me through the speaker. So, I'm not the only person that's been in this thing, but for some reason it always feels like it's torture. So when we learn how to inhale and exhale, this can help lower our blood pressure, and it can help kind of regulate the nervous system. So in Sammy's mom's case, when the physical therapist was coming in, when she broke her hip, she was teaching her how to lower her blood pressure, but she was also helping her regulate her nervous system, because the nervous system does react. It reacts when your body can't do certain things. And so imagine what this nervous system, a regular nervous system, would do if it's had trauma, if it's been like kind of just beaten up against the wall, right? Just kind of like you're a ball that's being thrown constantly against the wall, and the throwing is your trauma, and the wall is just what you keep hitting, just going, no, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. Probably not the greatest metaphor I've ever used, but yeah, this will help you regulate your system. It's something I need to practice more. I'm very bad at it. Something to just be, I guess, more cognitive about, I don't want to say hyper aware, because hyper aware can sometimes be a bad thing too, but just be more cognitive, or be more aware, period, of, watching yourself. If you're in a tense moment, are you holding your breath without realizing it? Are you clenching? Are your shoulders tightening? Are you clenching your jaw? Are you, just kind of fidgety? I get fidgety sometimes too when all this happens. And I get it. I think the reason we fidget is because our body is trying, now that I understand the shaking hands thing, I think our body fidgets because it's trying to get us out of this, it's trying to regulate itself. So we might get fidgety. We might feel like we got to do this, that, or the other, or talk with our hands, or, all these different things. So, there's so many things that I have noticed now, since doing this show about the body and the nervous system and how it reacts to different situations. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful, why can I not talk today? I promise tomorrow I will do better. I don't think I did that bad today. I can tell, I can feel my nerves, but yeah, tomorrow will be the big one. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to talk about dissociation during intimacy. And if you're watching this and you're a person that says, I don't have that problem, I don't have that trauma, I would ask you to come on anyway. And the only reason I would ask you to come on is because you may not, but someone might. It could even be your partner. Maybe you're just like, well, why do they feel so distant? There could be a reason. That doesn't mean they're going to share their story with you, but I have tips and tools in here on what people dealing with those who are dissociating, how to help them through it, and how, as a dissociated person, a person who is dissociating at the time, how to move through it, how to trust the partner. So, I think that's going to be very important, because even if it's not something you struggle with, you may know someone, you never know. You might sit down with your friend tomorrow night at dinner and they may be, I'm having this problem with so-and-so because I keep disappearing. And they'll be like, oh, I have some tools for you. So just help them be seen, help them be heard, and just compassion straight out of the board. Okay. Straight across the board. We're going to have to show compassion. So tomorrow, dissociation during intimacy. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelley Marie Lucas. You can watch me across the social media board. Everything gets uploaded to YouTube and TikTok and then moves throughout the universe, the social media universe from there, except Instagram. I know, I don't know why, but if you're on Threads, or if you're on Instagram, you're probably on Threads, so you can find it there. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you again so much for watching. Muddy, older sibling, thank you for popping on. Muddy, thank you for sharing. And thank you for the new quote. I'm not a genius, but I play one on Facebook. Have a great day.